everyone. I'm Andrea Donsky, co-founder of Morphus, powered by Naturally Savvy. And today I am here with a legend, a Hollywood legend, Alan Arkin, and his beautiful wife, Suzanne Arkin. I am so happy to have you on our show. Welcome to Morphus.
Hi, Andrea. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
I want to start with the story, Alan, of how you and I met many years ago. And I found out exactly what year it was. It was 2008. So we've known each other now for about 12 years. And we were in an elevator in Denver, and we were at Fox. And I was going up the elevator, and I was holding a Naturally Savvy gift bag that had our slogan at the time, or our logo at the time, that said natural and organic products. And you had looked at me, and you said, I love natural and organic products. And that is what started our bond for healthy living and kind of communicating over the years. So I'm really happy to have you here today because really when it comes to healthy living, both of you are very much into a healthy living lifestyle, which is why I wanted to have this conversation today.
Good.
Nice.
Great.
Yes,
So-
we are.
We're happy to be here.
So were you always both very much into healthy living? I know both of you have been married almost 25 years. And was it something that you were both doing before you met, or when you came together, you started, being very much interested in healthy living?
Well, we've known each other for 50 years, but we've been together for
We
25.
hate to admit, yes.
We've been together for 25.
And I will say that when we first met, I was not a healthy eater at all. And Alan actually got me started with healthy food. He took me to my first health food store.
It really, for me, it started when we were in a spiritual community, and they had their own organic garden, and were very, very. Initially it was what was the kind of macrobiotic diet, which drove me nuts. I did that for 6 months, and I said I'd rather die than be on a macrobiotic diet. When we were living about 3 hours from New York, and the guy said I needed a particular winter melon that I needed in my diet. I said, where do you get that? He said, you have to go to Chinatown on Thursdays. So I said, we made a 4-hour trip once a week to get a winter melon. I said, that was the first of two things that got me off of macrobiotic. The other thing was I was eating something, and I forget it was. He says, well, I don't advise eating that. He says, why? And I said, why? And the guy said, because they don't have that in Japan. And I thought, I'm not in Japan, for God's sake. So I said, I'm out of here. And that was the end of my interest in macrobiotic diets. But it verged into something very far removed from macrobiotic, but what we consider to be very, very health conscious diets anyway.
Yeah, all organic generally. Pretty much all organic.
Yeah, or all organic. I mean, that's what people have been eating until the end of World War II, and so it's good enough for us.
Yeah.
And we're both 173 years old, so
we figure we're still upright at that age. Yeah.
Mostly upright. And
kind of leaning back.
Yeah, I have a couple of marbles left, so that's
maybe it's helping.
So that's what we're saying. But
yeah.
Suzanne, you said that Alan took you to your first health food store. Do you remember what health food store that was?
I'm sorry, say
yes,
again?
I think it was a question to me. Do I remember what the health food store was where you took me? Was it Mrs. Gooch's?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mrs. Gooch's in Santa Monica.
That's awesome.
I'm familiar with that line. I don't even know if she's still open, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. So Alan, you've been doing this a very long time, practicing healthy living for a very long time, eating right. What are some of the other things that you're doing when it comes to healthy living? Obviously, you had the food, and Suzanne, I'll ask you this next. You've had the food, but what is it like? You have the spiritual component, the emotional component, the mental health component. What are some other things that you do to live a healthy lifestyle?
Well,
that takes up our day, those things.
What?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't know what you said.
I said, well, that takes up our day with the spirituality, the exercise.
Exercising. Yeah, exercising, diet. And what I'm finding is my health has improved enormously. The less work I get, the better my health seems. Yeah. The stress in the marketplace now is so enormous that it has a very, very fast my system has a very fast reaction to it. And I don't do well. I don't do well with. Nobody does well with stress, but most people, the younger people can handle it better than I can. I can't deal with it.
Well, and I also think that the more sensitive you get, through clean living, or be diet or meditating, or you just become more sensitive to the things that cause stress. I think you're particularly sensitive.
Yeah, well, I seem to be, yeah. And like that. One of the things that people decry is the fact that organic food costs a lot more. And it does cost more. And it's not arbitrary, it's because it costs more for the growers. And the spoil rate is faster, but like organic things spoil faster than things that have been injected with artificial stuff. But it may cost more initially, but as time goes on, your system will be better for you. You'll be away from doctors and medications more, if that matters to people. So that in the long run, I think it does tend to be cost effective. Maybe not in the short run, but in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which makes sense. And Suzanne, you were saying that that takes up most of your day. So you exercise, you're eating right. I believe, Alan, you told me years ago that you meditate. Do you still do that?
We've never stopped. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been doing it for 50 years. That's something that one of the ways that Suzanne got to know each other was we were both in a spiritual community for 25 years before we got together.
Yeah,
and
we do it at least a couple of hours a day. So it's a very, very definitive, practice. Sometimes more than that.
Yeah, at this point, if the only thing that would get me to give it up is if I was dead.
Let's hope that.
Let's hope that doesn't happen for a long time.
It's as crucial as eating. Sometimes more, actually.
Do you find now that you're in self-isolation that you're meditating for longer? You're saying you do a couple hours a day. Do you find that time is increased, or do you find that it's remained the same from what you were doing before?
Yeah, well, there's less distraction, so we're able to do it more.
Yeah.
And it's helped with the isolation. It doesn't. We've been not terribly affected by the isolation. We've been in isolation for almost 2 months now. It's fine. We don't have a problem with it.
It's not really that different from our life when Alan is not working.
Yeah.
It's very similar to how we live.
Yeah.
That's great. I love hearing that. One of the questions I had is, I'm often made fun of because I'm so into healthy living that whenever I travel, or even if I'm working outside of my house, that I have like my little suitcase and backpack of things that I take with me so that I always have something to eat, or I have my supplements. How do you, Alan, when you're on set or if you're traveling, and I know, Suzanne, you play a big role in this, how do you stay healthy or maintain your lifestyle when you're on set and you're actually working?
It's tough. We have to be very careful about where. It's something I think everybody should do. It's not. We're kind of strict about it, but I don't. It would make sense to me if everybody did things like this.
Absolutely.
We're careful about where we stay. We're careful. We try, if humanly possible, we try to find a place with a kitchen, or at least a burner and a refrigerator. If we're going to be there for any length of time, we'd like it to be near a Whole Foods or some really good natural market, and we make sure we have all the Japanese and Italian restaurants in the area scoped out, so we can find something that in restaurants that are pretty much in keeping with what our diets are.
We had a wonderful entertainment lawyer for a long time. He's since passed, sadly, but he got us a hotel right across the street from Whole Foods when Alan was on location in Atlanta, I think it was. Yeah. And that was our idea of heaven. We'd get up in the morning and go there for breakfast and then get the stuff for lunch for the set.
Yeah. And I love hearing that. that you maintain your lifestyle even when you are on the road. And it sounds like me, whenever I travel, I have to be within walking distance to a Whole Foods so I actually can eat healthy. It's one of the stipulations.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good.
It's mandatory. I love that. Suzanne, what type of a role, like I know that you said Alan brought you into this lifestyle, into healthy living, but do you ever help him with making, let's say, lunches, or helping him get organized in terms of the food that you're eating when you're out and about, and even when you're at home?
Well, I'm kind of in charge of most of our food at home, although he's been doing a lot more cooking since we've been on the lockdown. But I don't tend to do it on the set just because it's kind of hard to refrigerate it once you get there. And so I help with his assistant to get the restaurants close by and to make sure she gets the food on time and that kind of thing.
We do very well when we find a Middle Eastern restaurant, for example, Lebanese or Greek or Middle Eastern in general. I found that they tend to be incredibly clean, the Middle Eastern restaurants, in my experience. There was a lady who was the camera operator on the Kominsky Method, on the site, very sweet lady, and she brings stuff in from her mother. Her mother was she was Lebanese, and she'd bring stuff in from her mother. I said to her, I said, my experience is that Middle Eastern people, the food tends to be, the people in the restaurants tend to keep the places cleaner than most places. She said, "Oh my God!" She said, "She said you should come and see what my mother." She says, when my mother cooks, she doesn't let anybody in the kitchen, and she wears gloves all the time, and has always done that. So it's true that for some reason that culture seems to be very careful about that, and I find that about the Japanese too. Japanese restaurants tend to be that way too. So that's what we look for when we're on location.
Yeah, and I'm also in charge of getting our accommodations if it's a long-term location and that kind of thing. And I always make sure, like when we were doing Kominsky, we were, I think, 8 minutes from Whole Foods, our hotel, or our house. We rented a house. Yeah.
Now, Suzanne, you said that you do most of the cooking at home, but Alan's helping now. What type of food do you enjoy eating? And I know that you both like to cook. You both enjoy cooking.
Yeah.
Well, we made Caesar salad last night.
Which is wonderful.
And I'm a
big soup.
Yeah, I make soups, salads. Suzanne's green heavy. She's very.
Lots of
we just put raised beds in our backyard. And so we just planted greens 2 days ago. I love polenta. I could live on polenta and beans.
Choucroute.
I make a good choucroute, which is an Alsatian dish that I love.
What else? We have a little bit of fish occasionally, but not a lot. Smoked salmon.
Yeah. I can't give up. There's a bakery near us that's completely organic, and so the best bread I've ever had in my life. I cannot give up bread. I'll shoot myself before
it's all organic.
I don't believe
fresh
that whole
milled at the bakery.
Yeah. I don't believe that whole thing about
inflammation
and bread and inflammation. It doesn't hold true in my. Everybody's system is somewhat different anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
According to your own intuition and
the gluten-free you are not. Well, maybe some people are gluten intolerant. I think they probably are, but we aren't.
We don't pay any attention to that.
We don't overdo it.
I overdo it.
You have toast in the morning, and then.
Yeah.
Well, yes, I guess you do have it at every meal, just about.
Listen, if it works for you and you have no side effects, then I think that's great. And it reminds me, you have the philosophy is a little bit of everything, which is okay, in terms of whether it's bread or gluten. Do you incorporate meat into your diet, or is it mostly vegetarian?
Almost not at all. We have
a little bit of chicken and a little bit of
bit of turkey and a little bit of fish once in a while, but not very often.
but no red meat. We haven't been
Yeah.
doing red meat for a long
And
time.
it just kind of fell away. Meditating a lot starts changing your system. And it just happens automatically that you just stop craving certain things that you felt like you needed a long time. Every once in a while, I mean, if we were under an enormous amount of stress and feeling like we're pouring energy into something, we'll every great once in a while have a hunk of red meat.
Yeah,
or
we'll feel
something.
like we need a little bit. Yeah.
But very rarely. We listen to our systems, and their systems dictate pretty much what we do on a daily basis.
I love it. And I'm going to want you to show us your raised garden bed before we end the interview. But before that, Suzanne, I have a question for you. At Morphus, we talk a lot about perimenopause and menopause. And I know that we talked before, and you were saying you had a really easy time with menopause. I'd love you to share a little bit about your experience.
I started out having hot flashes, like a lot of people. My initial feeling was that was natural and normal, and this is fine, I can deal with it. After a little while of having them, they were just not comfortable. And I actually talked to an acupuncturist friend of mine, and she said that it really isn't healthy to have them. You know, that the body goes through things that are not healthy for the body. So I went to my osteopath and I got bioidentical hormones. And the minute I began taking those, they just went away, which was wonderful. I never had night sweats, which was, fortunate. And I've been on them ever since. I went off the bioidentical hormones briefly for a period of time. I can't remember exactly why, but I'm back on them, and I just feel great from them. And I haven't really had any other symptoms, which has been terrific.
That's awesome. And I wonder if a lot of it has to do with your lifestyle, you're meditating, you're eating healthy.
I do think so. I think that the body is, if it's built up and strong and all of that, that it just does well under all circumstances.
I'm going to go back to the garden now for a second. Alan, you mentioned that, you were saying, Suzanne, Alan said that you love growing greens. What are some other things that you both love to grow in the garden?
Grow in the garden? Well, we just planted peppers, basil, about 6 different kinds of lettuce.
Broccoli, lettuces, 3 different kinds of lettuces, actually, I think, 3 or 4.
Scallions.
Edible flowers.
Nice.
We planted seeds of radishes and arugula is a green, but
and tomatoes.
Tomatoes, yeah.
My favorite. I love them. Are you able to show us what the garden looks like? I don't know if we.
Oh, let's see if we can.
Yeah.
Here's the tomato. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it. That's beautiful. I love that. Oh, that's awesome.
That's our tomatoes.
Why don't you show a close-up of
That's the fire pit that we never ever use. Here's our raised bed. You see that?
Yeah, that's beautiful. Wow.
Meyer lemon.
Meyer lemon here.
Look at this beautiful pomegranate.
There's a pomegranate tree.
With all kinds of
pomegranates are on it. And
avocado tree that they said would give avocados every year. We have not seen one piece of fruit on it.
Here's our second raised bed.
Oh, also celery. That was another one.
Yeah.
And then show our apricot.
And that's our wonderful apricot tree over here.
You can see the little apricots on it.
Yeah. It's a fig.
I love figs.
And this is my own personal hugging tree.
That is awesome.
I have a very close relationship with. I have a close relationship with this tree.
Oh my God, I love it.
And then over there are guavas.
Yeah, on
We
the
have
other side.
guava trees.
And these are chairs.
It must be so great living in California in a warm climate that you're in the mood for something, you go outside and you pick it up off the tree. Like it's just.
It's very, we feel completely fortunate.
We're blessed.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I love seeing people's backyards because I know for myself, my backyard is my pride and joy. And although I live in Canada, we don't have that much time to grow a lot. Or we always laugh. We say we have 5 minutes of summer here, but we have a couple of months where we can grow something. So I love when I could see the beautiful backyards with the lemon trees and the orange trees. Like it's so incredible to know that you can just literally go pick something off a tree and eat it on the spot.
We're spoiled rotten.
Yeah.
And we're very grateful for it.
We have a place in Canada in Cape Breton. I think we probably mentioned that to you. But so we're familiar with the fact that the East Coast has a limited growing growing period. So you just have to start early with your starters and all that stuff, right? Your little plants.
That our seedlings are.
We'll never get there this year. Then
Yeah.
the borders are closed, so
Not letting us in.
yeah,
Oh, well, we'll be patient.
yeah.
Hopefully this will be over soon and we'll all be able to go out and cross borders again and be able to
Yeah.
enjoy other people.
And give somebody a hug.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you feel that you would want to share that we didn't touch upon today when it comes to living a healthy lifestyle, or any type of inspiration that we can leave our viewers with?
Well, everything we've talked about, meditation to me is just, I can't imagine life without that. So that would be the top of my list. But
Lou, I used to spend a lot of time proselytizing. I don't do that anymore. I mean, the kind of life we live is hard. It's a hard way to live. But at this, and meditation is I think it's misrepresented a lot. A lot of the mechanical aspects of it are, I mean, things that you can put on graphs and charts are touted very highly. But the most important aspects of it, as far as we're concerned, are the things that are invisible. The ways that your emotional system changes, the way, like, there are things going on inside me now that if I start telling people about, they think I'm crazy. My kids laugh at me when I talk about what. There's only one or two people I can talk about without feeling like I'm losing my mind, because there isn't a language that in the West that accommodates the kind of things that go on inside you.
If you got value out of today's interview, please give us a big thumbs up, and please turn on your notification bell so you are notified every single time we come up with a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Stay well. We'll see you next time.